We have some big news coming in. Army Chief General Naravane has arrived in Ladakh this morning to take stock of operational issues and ground situation amid escalating posture between India and China, South Pangong and elsewhere. Some big news coming in. Army Chief General Naravane has arrived in Ladakh this morning to take stock of operational issues and ground situation amid escalating posture between India and China on South Pangong and elsewhere along the line of actual control. Shiv Arur joining us on the phone line for more details. Shiv, the Army Chief himself arrives in Ladakh. He's taking stock of the situation even as the tensions between the two sides intensifies.
Very important visit that's been undertaken that we're breaking first and exclusive here on India Today, Nabila, is that the Army Chief General Manoj Mukund Naravane has arrived early this morning in Ladakh. We don't know how long the visit is going to last, but it comes at a very, very sensitive time. It's just a couple of days after the Indian Army has mounted some very strong action to thwart Chinese attempts at intrusions in areas both on the south bank and the north bank of the Pangong. So there have been some readjustments of positions, as the Army calls it, on the north bank, where there is a very difficult situation. But it is the south bank where things are most delicate right now, because the Indian Army has mounted, actions where they've basically completely preempted and thwarted the Chinese army from crossing the line of actual control and taking over certain strategic heights, as a result of which now the Indian army dominates that entire area. And this was a place where the Chinese, have had designs for a very long time. They had wanted to come in and try and change some facts on the ground. The Indian army was in receipt of information that this was going to happen, and they moved in and are now fully dominant in that area. This is something that has angered the Chinese endlessly, and therefore the Army Chief arriving in Ladakh, we can confirm that he landed in Ladakh earlier this morning, and we won't be putting out any information about whether he will be visiting any operational areas, but we do know that he is receiving full briefings from the operational commanders. He will likely be meeting some troops as well. But at this time, the Army Chief, he's the boss of the Army, there with the Army is also a huge morale boost, because this is an operational situation, Nabila. This is a time when the Army is in war readiness. It faces an enemy which is extremely aggressive, which, wants to talk, at the same time conduct all of these hostile maneuvers and aggressive, provocative actions on the ground. It is not an exaggeration to say that this is a warlike situation. There is the very real possibility of things escalating, at very, very short notice. And therefore, the Army Chief being there not only to take stock of the situation, but also as the leader of the army, to boost morale, to provide support, to provide advice, and basically to speak to his troops and show leadership on the ground is extremely important. So at that level, it's not surprising at all that the Army Chief is there. It's a very quiet visit. Obviously, it hasn't been publicized. We've gotten to know because, of course, we are India Today. But the Army Chief being there, very, very significant at this time.
Absolutely, Shiv. Here, the Indian government already made a decision to axe at least 118 more Chinese apps there, including PUBG. This comes as a fresh move to try and push China, put it in its place.
Absolutely. Very good.